I just clicked it now. I just clicked it now. So any second then. Yep, we're live.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Morness-Culture. Good morning, Syl.
Good morning, Beena. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning,
Some
screen again.
technical innovations and additions. Very
Yes. Okay. Good morning, screen again, and good morning to everyone who is going to join us live and will watch us recorded later. Happy Sunday to all of you. Hope you guys are enjoying your relaxed time, uh, not having any kind of unnecessary stress in your life. Because I'm talking about stress. Because when we make deliberate choices in our life, it's a guaranteed thing that you will have much less stress in your life because you know what you have been doing, you know what you are doing, and what you
yeah,
know what you
yeah,
are doing.
yeah,
So this is something very,
yeah.
very interesting about when we make deliberate choices in our life. We are writing our future right now, and what I am living right now, and all of us, we are living the consequences of the decisions we have made in our past. Everything, including everything. It's about our health, it's about our relationship, it's about our careers and education, everything, everything. We are living as like the result of our choices we have been making in our past. And exactly like this, we are writing our future right now. How we are spending our time, what choices we are making, are we taking full responsibility of it or not? This is how we are writing our future. So when you want to have your future as you really want, make deliberate choices now. And not only deliberate choices, but also be aware of that the choices you are making needs to be impeccable. Really, if you are impeccable,
Yeah,
what at least I can say about myself that I try to. I'm not sure that okay, I am impeccable or not because it's a big claim for me. But try to be impeccable, try to be thorough, and then after that, just leave a room for the universe to
yeah,
play its game. Don't try to control everything. Don't try to like
yeah,
really write down, articulate every specific detail of it. Connect with the bigger picture, the overall abstract picture of it, and then leave some room for universe, your God, Allah, whatever you call it. Just leave that room for it. Leave the room for the miracles to happen in your life. Leave the room for the moreness also. Do everything and then let it be. This is how you are writing you can write your future with definitely less stress. So this is my thought that okay, yes, because mostly I have seen that a lot of like really I don't know how many, I can say countless memes about, oh, the Sunday is over like in a blink or a snap, or now the Mondays again, and I don't want to go to work, and I'm stressful, and I'm all these things. It's really amazing for me. Not because that okay, oh, everybody should have to do all these things like okay, leave their career and start doing like leave their jobs, 9 to 5 jobs, and do something. No, I'm saying that the choices we are making, if we are aware that this job right now, it's 9 to 5 job, and I am doing this, I'm investing my energies for someone else. What I'm getting out of it, why I made that choice to get this. This is a tendency we have, this is a habit we have that we forget about how we came to this point. Now this job is like, oh my God, it's tiring, it's boresome, it's ill and that. But this job is helping you, was helping you to be homeless, like really to get not get homeless. Okay, it is you are meeting your ends, or you are doing other things. You have food in your plate on your table, and you have clothes to put on. You have some money to actually go out and do other things, and also you have enough resources to get internet access and then admire all the Instagram aesthetic videos and yes, freedom and all these things. It is because of this. But I'm saying that There is always something good about things. And we have this tendency that we make decisions, we do make decisions out of emotions, out of necessity, out of just really some feelings. And then after that, when we get that, we forget about uh, why we were making those decisions and why we have this thing, this job, which might be feeling you like, okay, no, it's not good. The boss is grumpy and all these things. But this is the same job which actually making your life at least sustainable. At least you are not jobless. And we have to see the positive and also regard and take responsibility of our decisions. This is what I was thinking about these things, that the newness, once the newness gone, and then we got like, oh my God, it's boring and it's all that. Okay, it is boring because we are not taking full responsibility of it. Again, it is not about that you should not grow and learn. Of course, you should make all those positive decisions for yourself, beneficial decisions for yourself, but do not be negative against those things which you have made in your past. Exactly same applies to the relationships. Once we get like, oh yes, this is the most wonderful person ever, and then after some time, no, I just want to get rid of it, and then I move on and do another thing, which is not bad, but make decisions deliberately and out.
Yeah,
And please
yeah,
be sure that you are not really bedazzled by the old newness only. It has to be, it is going to be there. It has to be
yeah,
other
yeah.
things also involved. The character is the core. Character of your job also. This is the most important thing. What your job right now, what actually it is doing in your life. It is paying your bill. This job is putting food on your table. This job is giving you resources. Okay, not enough, which is good. Okay, yes, you can improve. But don't negate all those positive. This is the tendency I am observing around, that people just get into that, oh no, it's boring, it's tiresome, it's stressful, and all that. This was the job you were really dying for just a few days ago. The simplest example is when you have when people get disabled for some reason, for temporary or permanently, and they have a wheelchair, and they know that okay, at some point then when they will get this particular treatment or surgery, and then it will be okay, all gone, and they will be happy, and they will be able to walk. Mostly I have heard this statement, they say, the moment I will be able to walk again, I will throw this wheelchair out, I will throw this crutches out.
Yeah.
Though that wheelchair, that support was helping you, was really supporting you. You have that
Oh,
grudges,
yeah.
negative feeling against that, but it was you who had this disability. And that wheelchair is not a point of like where you actually put your hate and anger and stress on. That was the supporting thing, supporting mechanism you had. This is how we forget about the positivity in our relationships, in our jobs, in everything. So my idea of life right now, I am implementing it in my life, to always consider things before you make a decision. I'm just doing this out of charm. I'm doing this because of should. I'm just doing this because I follow all these okay nonsense of aesthetics and vibes and all these without being really thorough. Then it is going to end up like this. And always see positive. That wheelchair was a support mechanism, and it's still holding you on. It's still making you able to go from one place to other. Otherwise, you were not able to do that. That's a very famous sentence,
Wonderful.
by the way. Very famous dialogue that, oh, the once I will be able to walk, I will throw
Yeah,
this in the
yeah,
river. It's a very
yeah.
ungrateful. Sorry to say, but this is how it is. Okay, that was my long thought of the day. Okay, now we will go to
Well, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm
yes,
ready.
yes. I know that you were ready before, but you were giving me time. Thank you so much, sir.
No, it's all good, sweetness. No, I love it. It's brilliant what you were saying. It's fantastic. All right, there we go. There we go. Being inaccessible. This is where we are at today. That's chapter 7. Chapter 7. Let's not forget. What is what is this? A tool for what? A technique? A mechanism for what?
I'm not getting it, sir. Say it again.
Each
No,
chapter
it's
is
being
each
inaccessible.
chapter. Don
Yes.
Yes, Don Juan said each of these techniques is a technique for
Stopping the word.
stopping the world. This is the point of the book. Stop the world. Right? So like the
Yes.
previous book was all about capital P perceiving. This book is about stopping the world. We're going to hear more about capital P perceiving because didn't quite get into it enough there. And same here. But nonetheless, these are all techniques for undoing our connectivity, our immersion into and with this current description that we call the world. All right, please read, Beena. Please read.
Okay. Being inaccessible. Thursday, 29th June 1961. Again, Don Juan, as he had done every day for nearly a week, held me spellbound with his knowledge of specific details about the behavior of game. He first explained and then corroborated a number of hunting tactics based on what he called the quirks of quails. I
Quirks,
became so,
quirks.
yes, the quirks of quails. I became so
Hmm.
utterly involved in his explanation that a whole day went by and I had not noticed the passage of time. I even forgot to eat lunch. Don Juan made me joking remarks that it was quite unusual for me to miss a meal.
Yeah, it was.
I hear you, Carlos. I hear you. Okay. By the end of the day, he had caught five quail in a most ingenious trap, which he had taught me to assemble and set up. Two are enough for us,
Two are enough for us.
he said, and let three of them loose. He then taught me how to roast quail. I had wanted to cut some shrubs and make a barbecue pit, the way my grandfather used to make it, lined with green branches and leaves and sealed with dirt. But Don Juan said there was no need to injure the shrubs, since we had already injured the quill. After we finished
Shrubs.
eating, sorry,
Shrubs. I don't know.
shrubs. Yeah, shrubs.
Yeah, yeah. Shrubs.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. After we finished eating, we walked very leisurely towards a rocky area. We sat on a sandstone hillside, and I said jokingly that if he would have left the matter up to me, I would have cooked all five of the quail, and that my barbecue would have tasted much better than his roast.
No doubt. But if you would have done all that, we might have never left this place in one piece.
What do you mean? What would have prevented us?
The shrubs, the quail, everything around would have pitched in.
I never know when you are talking seriously. He made a gesture of fine impatience and smacked his lips.
Feigned, feigned.
Pain.
Hmm. Pretend, feigned.
Yes, just read again.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to read it again. He made it. Yeah. You have a weird
You have
notion
made
of
it.
what it
He
means
made
to
a
talk
gesture.
seriously. We got a lot of lag today. Yeah. All right.
Yes.
You have a weird notion of what it means to talk seriously. I laugh a great deal because I like to laugh. Yet everything I say is deadly serious, even if you don't understand it. Why should the world be only the way you think it is? Who gave you the authority to say so?
There is no proof that the world is otherwise. I said it was getting dark. I was wondering if it was time to go back to his house, but he did not seem to be in a hurry, and I was enjoying myself. The wind was cold. Suddenly he stood up and told me that we had to climb to the hilltop and stand up on the area clear of shrubs.
Interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Don't be afraid. I'm your friend, and I'll see that nothing bad happens to you.
What do you mean? I asked, alarmed. Don Juan had the most insidious facility to shift me from sheer enjoyment to sheer fright.
So I was laughing. The moment that the implications are going to terrify Carlos, of that statement. Don Juan knows it too. He does it on purpose because Carlos is such a easy mark to tease. The world is very strange at this time of day. That's what I mean. No matter what
Okay,
you see, don't be afraid. Of course, we're going to make Carlos more afraid, right?
seriously. Just a minute, sir.
No problem.
Okay, just a minute. I'm just saying hello in on YouTube.
All right. Okay. I'll continue reading. What am I going to see? I don't know yet, he said, peering into the distance towards the south. He did not seem to be worried. I also kept on looking in the same direction. Suddenly, he perked up and pointed with his left hand towards a dark area in the desert shrubbery. There it is, he said, as if he had been waiting for something which had suddenly appeared. What is it? I asked. There it is, he repeated. Look, look. I did not see anything, just the shrubs. It is here now, he said with great urgency in his voice. It is here. A sudden gust of wind hit me at that instant and made my eyes burn. I stared towards the area in question. There was absolutely nothing out of the ordinary. I can't see a thing, I said. You just felt it. Right now. It got into your eyes and it kept you from seeing. What are you talking about? I have deliberately brought you to a hilltop. We are very noticeable here, and something is coming to us. What? The wind? Not just the wind. It may be the wind to you, because wind is all you know. You want to keep reading, Beena?
Yes, just coming. It's done.
Now, as I say, now that the dramatic part is over and histrionics has been satisfied, and overacting has been done, we can continue in a more reasonable tone and modality.
Yes, so okay. My Instagram and YouTube done. So please share screen.
Oh, I am. You just have to click on it, I think.
No,
Yep, I am sharing screen. Yep,
no, Syl, you're not.
yep. You just have, yes, I am. I can see it there. It says stop share. Oh,
But Syl,
you
it's
just have to click on Zoom. Click on Zoom.
Syl, I
Click on
am.
Zoom.
I'm just looking at the screen.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Well, I'll unscreen share and
Okay.
rescreen share. Okay. It must have been underneath something.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
Yes, now it is starting. Yes.
I have this. Yeah, same thing. Shows in the same way. All right. From
Yeah.
here, I strained my eyes. So
Okay.
that stuff.
I strained my eyes, staring into the desert shrubs. Don Juan stood silently by me for a moment and then walked into the nearby chaparral and began to tear some big branches from the surrounding shrubs. He gathered 8 of them and made a bundle. He ordered me to do the same and to apologize to the plants in a loud voice for mutilating them. When we had 2 bundles, he made me run with them to the hilltop and lie down on my back between 2 large rocks. With tremendous speed, he arranged the branches of my bundle to cover my entire body. Then he covered himself in the same manner and whispered through the leaves that I should watch how the so called wind would cease to blow once we had become unnoticeable.
You're
Just
reading the U's as I's. I don't know why.
sorry?
You did it. You did it earlier too. Unnoticeable, not innoticeable. You're reading the U's as I's.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it
Unnoticeable.
happened earlier also.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I'll pay attention. At one moment, to my utter amazement, the wind actually ceased to blow, as Don Juan had predicted. It happened so gradually that I would have missed The change had not okay, the change had I not been deliberately waiting for it. For a while the wind had hissed through the leaves over my face, and then gradually it became quiet all around us. I whispered to Don Juan that the wind had stopped, and whispered back that I should not make any overt noise or movement, because what I was calling the wind was not wind at all, but something that had a volition, volition of its own, and could actually,
Volition, yeah.
yes, and could actually recognize us. I laughed out of nervousness. In a muffled voice, Don Juan called my attention to the quietness around us and whispered that he was going to stand up and I should follow him. Putting the branches aside very gently with my left hand, we stood up at the same time. Don Juan stared for a moment into the distance toward the south and then turned around abruptly and faced the west.
Sneaky, really sneaky.
He muttered, pointing to an area towards the southwest.
Look, look.
He urged me. I stared with all the intensity I was capable of. I wanted to see whatever he was referring to, but I did not notice anything at all. Or rather, I did not notice anything I had not seen before. They were just shrubs which seemed to be agitated by a soft wind. They rippled.
It's yeah.
Don Juan said. At that moment, I felt a blast of air in my face. It seemed that the wind had actually begun to blow after we stood up. I could not believe it. There had to be a logical explanation for it. Don Juan chuckled
All right, so
softly.
let's just stop on that point quickly, Beena. There
Yes,
had to be a logical explanation. Yes, Carlos, there had to be a logical explanation. But logic is contextual, and you need to reassess your parameters from within which you assess the logic. That's your flaw. Logic to you means a certain belief set. That's the problem. It's a belief set. You don't realize that your reality is a belief, and within that belief system, the laws of logic apply. This outside of Carlos's cognition. Yeah, just
yes.
absolutely not being able to comprehend this. Yeah, so he only has one way of looking at things, and has to conform to that. He doesn't consider a different parameter. All right. Let's go gather the shrubs once more. I hate
He
to
said.
do this to these little plants, but we must stop you.
He picked up the branches we had used to cover ourselves and piled small rocks and dirt over them, then repeating the same movement we had made before. Each of us gathered 8 new branches. In the meantime, the wind kept on blowing ceaselessly. I could feel it ruffling the, the, the hair around my ear. Don Juan whispered that once he had covered me, I should not make the slightest movement or sound. He very quickly,
Sorry, I was just thinking that I could feel it ruffling the hair around my ears. In my weird brain, I'm thinking now, how would an alien kind of read this? Yeah, I mean, we know where hair is, but if you don't really, you might think Carlos has hair growing underneath his ear, and on the side of his ear and up behind his ear, right? It's got, you see what I mean? Sorry,
no,
just
but
me, just me.
no, but if he has long hair, then of course it is going to be like okay.
Yeah, but you don't know this. The image that you could do this if you don't quite know, right? You know hair, you know ears. Well, then you can imagine it in lots of different ways. You're imagining it according to what you know, but try and imagine it according to what you don't know. There's a lot of arrangements of how a hair could be ruffling around the ear. See what I mean? Lots of
Hmm.
them very amusing arrangements. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm utilizing the very same thing that I just said to Carlos to do. Yeah, to take the logic within the context. We're applying this hair ruffling around the ears in the context of what we know, but apply it in the context of what you don't know. Like I said, you could have some very wild and various arrangements that technically satisfy that. In other words, if you put this into the AI with, like making images for you, sometimes they come up with weird stuff and you have to coach them and do it correctly. Right? You see what I mean? The AI could interpret this in a lot of different ways, right?
Yes.
Interesting, interesting. But it's the
Correct.
same exercise. What I did by envisaging this amusing arrangement of hair on the ears, I might as well do
Yes.
it amusing. I was applying the logic within a different context. Yeah, we
Yeah.
applied that the logic of hair ruffling according to how we know hair to be. He may have short hair that was just touching his hair. He may have had hair that was covering his ear and just ruffling over the ears and not anywhere else. But he may have been bald and only had hair around his ears, all along the edges of his ears. It's some weird arrangement. Anyway, but it's a good exercise, though. See that we don't fall into the trap of always interpreting things according to the known. Yeah. Sometimes just okay. I did this for my own fun and amusement, but it's a powerful intellectual exercise. It's more than an intellectual exercise. It's a powerful cognition exercise. It's a powerful unhooking exercise. It's part of what Don Juan is doing to Carlos. I'm just doing it in a different way, a little less dramatic way, but very powerful. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Please continue. Please continue.
Okay. He picked up the
Well,
branches
also, by
and
the way, Beena, sorry,
yes.
in the context here, we
Mm.
have nowhere as Carlos ever said how much hair he has. Right?
Mm.
His hair has not ever been mentioned before. Now he says, I could feel it ruffling the hair around my ears. You would think if he had hair elsewhere on his head, it would ruffle the hair there too, and he would be able to feel that also. So, as a logical entity, I could deduce logically that Carlos only has hair around his ears because the wind is blowing all around him, and surely it would ruffle everything, not just unless the hair around his ears is looser and the hair on the rest of his head is very stiff and sticking up, maybe like bristles. Okay, maybe then not. See? So when you kind of think about it logically, Carlos, see, means different things.
Yes.
Yeah,
Actually, when you saying that, okay,
yeah.
I asked AI to create an image of a man with like okay his hair ruffled by wind on his ear, and
Ruffling, ruffling
it,
around his ears. Did you say that?
yes, yes,
Hair ruffling around the ears. Yeah, okay. And what happened?
and it created an image of a man sitting, but and all the hair are ruffled, but not on the ears. So completely ignored that.
So I did the very opposite. That's interesting.
Yes, yes.
That's very
But
interesting.
it is, yes, individual. Anyway, we picked up three
Yeah.
branches we had used to cover ourselves and piled the small rocks and died over them. Then repeating the same movements we had made before. Each of us gathered 8 new branches. In the meantime, the wind kept on blowing ceaselessly. I could feel it ruffling the hair around my ears. Don Juan whispered that once he had covered me, I should not make the slightest movement or sound. He very quickly put the branches over my body and then he lay down and covered himself. We stayed in that position for about 20 minutes, and during that time, a most extraordinary phenomenon occurred. The wind again changed from a hard, continuous gust to a mild vibration. I held my breath, waiting for Don Juan's signal. At a given moment, he gently shoved off the branches. I did the same and we stood up. The hilltop was very quiet. There was only a slight soft vibration of leaves in the surrounding chaparral. Don Juan's eyes were fixedly staring at an area in the shrubs of south of us.
But this again,
He exclaimed uh, with a loud voice. Okay.
in a loud voice.
Oh, okay. In a loud voice.
The
Yes.
typo.
Yeah. I involuntarily jumped. nearly losing my balance, and he ordered me in a loud, imperative voice to look. What am I supposed to see? I asked desperately. He said that the wind or whatever was like a cloud or a world that was quite a way above the shrubs, twirling its way to the hilltop where we were. I saw a ripple forming on the bushes in the distance.
Here it comes.
Don Juan said in my ears.
Look how it is searching for us.
Right then, a strong, steady gust of wind hit my face, as it had hit it before. This time, however, my reaction was different. I was terrified. I had not seen what Don Juan had described, but I had seen a most eerie wave rippling the shrubs. I did not want to succumb to my fear and deliberately sought any kind of suitable explanation. I said to myself that there must be continuous air currents in the area, and Don Juan, being thoroughly
All right,
acquainted with.
1 second.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I did not want to succumb to my fear and deliberately sought any kind of suitable explanation. And now we see the motivation behind the nonsense. And people do this all the time. They construct these explanations because they are afraid of fear. They are
Yes.
afraid of fear. Their fear is of fear. So they try and do everything they possibly can to find some explanation that won't acknowledge the fear. How does this make any sense? If you
It
find
is
an explanation, it doesn't make the thing that's fearful go away. It's still
no
there.
that it now it is known, and we fear from unknown. That's the problem.
But the thing itself is the same. All you've done is relabeled it. It's just BS. Right? But also people will stop feeling afraid of something that still exists because they've said, oh no, it's not a problem. And then the thing comes and smacks them. This happens all the time. Oh, I
Yes.
smell smoke. Ah, it must be the neighbor. No, but it's close, says the wife. No, it must be the neighbor. It's okay. It's okay. The guy just want to get up and go and check it out. He's too lazy. He doesn't want to be bothered. And he's too afraid it may be actually his house on fire. And of course, when it is his house on fire, it's too late. Happens all the time, Beena. Yeah?
Oh,
People don't want to. It's about facing and dealing with the awful truth. Right? So they try and find a way to BS themselves that the awful truth does not exist. Yeah? Because
yes.
they're lazy, fearful, whatever, many different reasons. Same logic here, right? If you don't acknowledge the thing, you can't deal with it. Just because it is scary doesn't mean you have to be afraid.
Yes.
They're so afraid of feeling fearful that they don't realize just because something is scary doesn't mean you have to be afraid. Take snakes, spiders, for instance, just those two. Yeah, some people see them and okay, there's a snake. Other people they panic. Or mouse, right? I mean, the classic thing of women jumping on the chair when the mouse comes. By the way, women that jumping on the chair when the mouse comes, in the cartoons, mice are quite capable of running up the leg of a chair.
Very easily, actually.
It doesn't help you. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't help help you one iota. The mouse wants to get you, it's going to get you. Have you ever thought that the mouse is more afraid of you? You're 10 zillion times bigger than the mouse, for heaven's sake. Anyway, we do stupid things out of fear, and we don't realize that things are scary because we say so, not inherently so. The mouse isn't inherently scary. All right, if it was a lion that was looking to eat you, maybe so. But also, even with a lion, the more scared you are, the more prey you become. So you're making the situation worse by being afraid. All right. So again, we have to really pay attention to fear and be sensible when it comes to fear. Yeah? And not let fear rule us. That's why it's like one of the big enemies of awareness. Very,
Yes.
very powerful. Very, very powerful. Yeah. And don't succumb to BS because if you do, that's gonna get you killed. You can't be stupid when it comes to this. All right. Where were we? Where
I
were
did
we?
not want to succumb to my fear and deliberately sought any kind of suitable
Right.
explanation. I said to myself that there must be continuous air currents in the area, and Don Juan, being thoroughly acquainted with the whole region, was not only aware of that, but was capable of mentally plotting their occurrence. All he had to do was to lie down, count, and wait for the wind to taper off. And once he stood up, he had only to wait again for its reoccurrence. Don Juan's voice shook me out of my mental deliberations. He was telling me that it was time to leave. I stalled. I wanted to stay to make sure that the wind would taper off. I didn't see anything, Don Juan.
You didn't. You noticed something unusual, though.
Perhaps you should tell me again what I was supposed to see.
I've already told you. Something that hides in the wind and looks like a wall, a cloud, a mist, a face that twirls around.
Don Juan made a gesture with his hands to depict a horizontal and a vertical motion. It,
It moves in a specific direction. It either tumbles or it twirls. A hunter must know all that in order to move correctly.
I wanted to humor him, but he seemed to be trying so hard to make his point that I did not dare. He looked at me for a moment and I moved my eyes away.
To believe the world is only the way as you think it is stupid. The world is a mysterious place, especially in the twilight.
Sorry, sir, I lost the track of it. So please put your cursor there.
Oh, oh, oh.
Okay. He pointed towards the wind with a movement of his chin.
This can follow us. It can make us tired, or it might even kill us.
That wind?
At this time of the day, in the twilight, there is no wind. At this time, there is only power.
We sat on the hilltop for an hour. The wind blew hard and constantly all that time.
Yeah, so much for your time, Carlos. Good theory, though. It was a good theory. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it may have done early in the evening and then later it changes, so, it still applies. To think of that explanation, it isn't. It's a good thing to be able to do. We want multiple perspectives and see all the possibilities. Yeah, because that's how we get to be sophisticated and come out of naivety. However, Don Carlos makes the mistake of insisting on it. It's possible, but just because it's possible doesn't mean that the other explanation is equally also possible. This is Carlos's arrogance. He doesn't make allowance for something else being possible, or which is possible to actually be possible. No, his explanation is the only possibility. The other one, not possible. That's the name, right? All right, let's continue.
Friday, 30th June 1961. In the late afternoon, after eating, Don Juan and I moved to the area in front of his door. I sat on my spot and began working on my notes. He lay down on his back with his hands folded over his stomach. We had stayed around the house all day on account of the wind. Don Juan explained that we had disturbed the wind deliberately and that it was better not to fool around with it. I had even had to sleep covered with branches. A sudden, a sudden gust of wind made Don Juan get up in one incredibly agile jump.
Damn it! The wind is looking for you.
I can't buy that, Don Juan. I said, laughing. I really can't. I was not being stubborn. I just found it impossible to endorse the idea that the wind had its own volition and was looking for me, or that it had actually spotted us and rushed
to us on top of the hill. I said the idea of a willful wind was a view of the world was rather simplistic.
Right. So this is fascinating. The power of terminology. Can you think, Beena, just as an act of imagination, what Don Juan could have called that, called, just called the thing, yeah, rather than a wind?
Hmm.
Okay, can you have any ideas? What else he could have called it possibly? Anything come to mind?
Like okay, or any ghost or anything like this.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you could have called it a ghost, a spirit, but
Yes.
a ghost, a spirit, or a sprite or something. That's still for Carlos kind of still in woo-woo territory. But if he had said that this is a volitional, energetic emanation, yes, as a
Yes.
result of the concurrence of disturbance within the particular energy patterns of that particular area. What the hell are you talking about? I'm just making it up as I go along now, right? But you get the idea. If he had said something that basically, in some kind of a scientific jargon, like when you look at ghost hunters, sometimes they get all very, and they call them, I don't know, they have very particular names for ghosts that's not ghost, right? A ghost, a spirit, they have all different names for it, right? That's very scientific, yes, according to whatever, a plasma entity or something like this, yeah, right?
Yes.
My point
Yes.
is, Carlos would have been totally susceptible and open to it. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's very interesting. Wow, I sort of maybe heard of stuff like this, or well, I don't know, but okay, it's science, and therefore it must be real because it sounds plausible. That's the key. The terminology is what makes the difference, right? As soon as the terminology is wind, it's simplistic. Like, in the old days, they talked about the north wind and the south wind and stuff like this, right? But if you had said spirits and ghosts, well, okay, that's that stuff, and it's poo pooed because that's old lady talk. But if you had said it's a sign, it's a, in science terms, like it's a plasma entity that has its own volition. Yes, very simplistic organism. Yes, I mean, you draw its attention and that's it. It's like a computer program. You activate it, it does stuff. It's very simple, right? So is it alive or not? Who knows? But, well, okay, the end result is you mess with it, it comes and messes with you. It's very simple. Yeah. Whether it's alive or not is irrelevant. The consequence matters. Carlos would have been quite happy to buy that. Yeah. Okay, this was in the days before people were familiar with computer programs. But still, you see my logic here, my point I'm making. Terminology makes all the difference. And the frame of conceptuality. We are so entrenched already into taking things that have already been decided as being nonsense by society, like spirits and winds and whatever, believe that no, it's all big. That we cannot change our mind on it, but change the terminology as the same thing. And now we're quite happy to reassess. We need to be aware of this, not only when in the case of Don Juan here with dealing with Carlos's psychology, but also with ourselves. Yeah,
Hmm.
we just have a resistance to certain things. We change the terminology, and suddenly we don't have a resistance to it. We have a resistance to the unknown, but we don't have a resistance to moreness. See, same thing essentially, but different terminology. It is incredibly powerful. We have to understand our own brains. Yes. Now, in Way of Impeccability, a spirit warrior is a wizard at psychology. You have to know this. It's very helpful. All right, please keep going, man.
Okay. Before I start again, I just want to share something. I have my own poem, which is not completed or not written enough to this. It's about wind. Okay, and
Oh, wow! Read
that
it, read it, read it, please.
no, I will share with you later. But I just wanted to say that in that poem, I just said that okay, I wrote that the wind is coming with with feelings and with some secrets.
Yeah.
And it opens up
Oh,
only on the hearts which are aware, not minds, but it's on the hearts which are aware. And also
yeah,
that
yeah,
it brings the emotions of of uh, of the entities which are from the different dimension. And sometimes we
yeah,
feel the sadness and the happiness and the joy, and it makes us
yeah,
calm and it
yeah.
makes us like agitated. And I just said that, okay, I read this in some old scriptures, which actually it's not true, but I just said that in the poem, that okay, I have read that in the
Ah,
in
nice,
this.
nice. Use poetic license,
Yes.
creativity. Yeah, you're writing
So,
a story, so very cool.
so this thing what Don Juan is saying, that now it is, I don't know that, okay, I, of course, I was not aware of it, but I was
It's become true after the fact because here's the scripture,
yes,
scripture, and you're reading it
yes,
in the scripture. So very
yes,
cool. You were remembering forward in time because to some
exactly.
people this is scripture, right? And in later on in time, this is going to be scripture for some people.
Yes, and just
The same way as scriptures now just needs more time.
yes, and just one thing, that okay, the reference, you can say that, okay, I become
Wonderful.
aware. I don't know that before that or after. I don't have enough or clear memory of it. That in Quran, in Muslims, they have this thing that they says that before coming to this world, our heart has been like, okay, exposed to the wind of sadness for very long.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, but it is very
Wow.
specific to
Wow.
say the wind of sadness.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So and wind,
yeah,
especially now, it is coming like, okay, everything is coming together for me.
yeah.
When I was writing the poem, it was like, okay, it's still unfinished. It is still in process. Uh, but it just reminded me what Don Juan is sharing about wind, because I always feel that wind has like, okay, it creates feelings and emotions, um, and
Yeah.
also it reveals a lot. If you just start feeling wind, I used to do that without knowing anything. I still do that because it gives you a completely different understanding of things which
Interesting.
I don't know, that sometimes you're not aware of that, okay, what
Wow, wow,
actually the secret is
wow.
all about. So yes, this is
Yeah,
very,
but sorry,
very.
we have to read your poem now. I mean, you can't leave
I'm
us
going.
hanging, even though it's unfinished. You can't
Okay,
just
I
leave
I
us
need to
hanging.
search.
That's just
Okay, so
cruel.
keep reading. I'm searching.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just.
I will. I want to explain. I want to talk about conceptionality.
Okay.
Right. The language of Morness-Culture is the language of conceptionality. And I was talking about this. Don Juan calls it the wind, which is a mistake here because it's not the wind as we normally think of the wind, right? This is something that is using the wind, yes, or masquerading as the wind. If Don Juan had said, rather than saying it is the wind, which is technically inaccurate, if he had simply said something is using the wind, Carlos's brain would have jumped on a very different tack, right? And if he had said, well, what do you mean something? It's a it's hard to describe. It's not a thing as we would normally think of things. It has volition, but it's not like an animal's volition or like a person's volition. It's more simplistic than that. It's attracted by energy, by movement, by who knows, something about people, right? When you do something at this time of day, you make yourself noticeable and you're attracted, right? That's it. I mean, it may as well be a flea the same way. Yeah, what's the matter? Right? But this is something that we don't ordinarily encounter, and most people aren't aware of it, but it exists. Right? That's it. Simple as that. And I'm going to show you that it exists. Right? So this is uh, the conception, how it's conceived. Right? For Carlos, this idea of the willful wind, his brain is thinking of wind in the totalness. Suddenly, wind in the whole world, and has a will, like in the myths and fables and stuff, right? East wind, the north wind, and all this, and that makes it fantastical for him. But if Don Juan had expressed it in the way that I'm expressing it, Carlos would have accepted it quite easily. Yeah? Its conceptuality makes all the difference, and also accuracy of expression, right? This Don Juan was not accurate, right? He said, I said, this is Carlos now. I said that the idea of a willful wind, in inverted commas, was a view of the world that was rather simplistic. Yeah. And that's the
Yes.
problem for Carlos. He doesn't like being simplistic. What is the wind then? Don Juan asked in a challenging tone. I patiently explained to him that masses of hot and cold air produced different pressures and that the pressures made the masses of air move vertically and horizontally. It took me a long while to explain all the details of basic meteorology. You mean that all there is to the wind is hot and cold air? He asked in a tone of bafflement. I'm afraid so, I said, and silently enjoyed my triumph. Oh my God, you're so petty. And silently enjoyed my triumph. A triumph.
Hmm.
For God's sake, how petty is your ego? Don Juan seemed to be dumbfounded, but then he looked at me and began to laugh uproariously. Your opinions are final opinions, he said with a note of sarcasm. They are the last word, aren't they? For a hunter, however, your opinions are pure crap. It makes no difference whether the pressure is 1 or 2 or 10. If you would live out here in the wilderness, you know that during twilight it becomes power. A hunter who is worth his salt knows that, and acts accordingly. How does he act? He uses the twilight and that power hidden in the wind. How? If it is convenient to him, the hunter hides from the power by covering himself and remaining motionless until twilight is gone and the power has sealed him into its protection. Don Juan made a gesture of enveloping something with his hands. Its its protection is like he paused in search of a word, and I suggested cocoon. That is right. That is right. The protection of the power seals you like a cocoon. A hunter can stay out in the open, and no puma or coyote or slimy bug could bother him. A mountain lion could come up to the hunter's nose and sniff him, and if the hunter does not move, the lion would leave. I can guarantee you that. If the hunter, on the other hand, wants to be noticed, all he has to do is stand on a hilltop at the time of the twilight. Power will nag him and seek him all night. Therefore, if a hunter wants to travel at night, or if he wants to be kept awake, he must make himself available to the wind. Therein lies the secret of great hunters, to be available and unavailable at the precise turn of the road. All right, this is the crux of the entire chapter, of the entire point, of the entire concept. Yes, to be available and unavailable at the precise turn of, well, the road is metaphorical, obviously, at the precise turn or the precise instant, the precise appropriateness. This is absolutely key. Yeah, and you understand this, right? And if you understand this just in a way in terms of social interactivity, yeah, yeah, or just take it in a way that we understand, like a celebrity. If a celebrity is always available, how long is their celebrity going to last?
Yes. Agree.
Not very long at all. It's going to fade out very quickly. And you see this with newfound celebrities, right? You have your 10 minutes of fame kind of thing, right? Or whatever they call it, right? Because they know it's not going to last, so they exploit it for all it's worth. And basically it burns out, right? Like a fire, you burn it bright and it burns out quickly. Okay. But you could do that rather and say, well, if you have a little bitty celebrity, I mean, some of those, you know, that no matter what you do, it's only going to last a while, so you might as well maximize. But if you, a more regular celebrity, not just a flash in the pan one, if you go and overdo it, you burn yourself out, and we've had enough of them. You've got to create a bit of scarcity, which means be available, be unavailable. Now, in this case, we can understand that. But likewise with your friends and your family. If you're always available, you're going to become a doormat, potentially, right? Depend on your family. Yeah. But with people in general, unfortunately, who subscribe to the superiority paradigm, right? This is what they do. They can't help themselves, even if they aren't nasty people or not nice people. It doesn't matter. They may still do this, right? Because it's just this, habit and pattern. It just gets a bit, well, you're doing this all the time, and you don't mind, obviously. You're always doing it, whatever, right? So we have to be very careful of this. We have to be very careful. Be accessible and inaccessible as appropriate, right? It's very, very important. Yeah, very, very important. Otherwise,
Okay.
all sorts of problems could develop. Now, I'm going very quickly on this with my example, but just watch in your life when you are too available and when you are inappropriately unavailable. Likewise, yeah, you're not around to partake in opportunity, for instance, yeah, or you refuse to partake in some meeting or some family gathering, and it was important to be there. Well, you're not available. Sorry. Well, okay, then you missed out. Very, very, very important. All right, so I'll read this again and then you continue. Therein lies the secret of great hunters, to be available and unavailable at the precise turn of the road.
I lost your sound. Sorry.
Oh, oh, oh.
Say
Well,
still?
where's my sound?
Okay, now it's back. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what happened there.
I felt a bit confused and
Okay.
asked him. Okay. I felt a bit confused and asked him to recapitulate his point. Don Juan was very patiently explained that he had used the twilight and the wind to point out the crucial importance of the interplay between hiding and showing oneself.
All right. So instead of saying the wind here, uh, let's rather read that sentence to say it in a different way. Don Juan very patiently explained that he had used the twilight and that particular energy that was in this area, right?
Mhm.
At
Right.
twilight. Uh, where's that sentence now? Uh, oh gosh. Oh, he had used that particular energy that was around in that place at that time to point out the crucial importance of the interplay between hiding and showing oneself. Changes the whole dynamic when you change it to this particular energy, this peculiarity, this anomalous energy. That's a better way to say it. This anomalous energy, right? There I saying the wind. Your brain jumps to different things when you say anomalous energy rather than wind. Yeah, the association is very different. Yeah.
Yes.
So if he's going to say wind in this context, meaning that particular entity, that particular energy, we'll call it that anomalous energy instead of wind, right? Right. You
Okay.
must learn
Okay.
to become deliberately available and unavailable. As your life goes now, you are unwittingly available at all times.
I protested. My feeling was that my life was becoming increasingly more and more secretive. He said I had not understood his point, and and that to be unavailable did not mean to hide or to be secretive, but to be inaccessible.
Let me put it another way. He proceeded patiently. It makes no difference to hide if everyone knows you are hiding. Carlos didn't understand this. Yeah. Your problems right now stem from that. When you are hiding, everyone knows you are hiding. And when you are not, you are available for everyone to take a poke at you.
I was beginning to feel threatened and hurriedly tried to defend myself.
Don't explain yourself. There is no need. We are fools, all of us. And you cannot be different. At one time in my life, I, like you, made myself available over and over again until there was nothing of me left for anything except perhaps crying. And that I did, just like yourself.
Don Juan sized me up for a moment and then sighed loudly.
I was younger than you, though, but one day I had enough and I changed. Let's say one day when I was becoming a hunter, I learned the secret of being available and unavailable.
I told him that his point was bypassing me. I truly could not understand what he meant by being available. he had used the Spanish idioms ponerse al alcance. I don't know. Sorry, pardon me for if I'm
Yeah, you got it.
mispronouncing it.
You got it. You got it. You got it.
Ponerse al,
Sounds
al
right to me.
alcance, yes. And and ponerse en el medio del camino. Okay, to put yourself within reach and to put oneself in the middle of a trafficked way.
You must take yourself away. You must retrieve yourself from the middle of a trafficked way. The whole being is there. Thus, it is of no use to hide. You would only imagine that you're hidden. Being in the middle of the road means everyone passing by watches your comings and goings.
His metaphors, his metaphor was interesting, but at the same time, it was so obscure. You are talking in riddles. He stared at me fixedly for a long moment and then began to hum a tune. I straightened my back and said attentively, I knew that when Don Juan hummed a Mexican tune, he was about to clobber me.
Okay, let's stop here for tomorrow. And because now it's
Okay.
starting on a new story here, right? Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So
yes. Okay,
we also
before we
know
go,
that
I just want to share a screen so I can show you what I have found. There is definitely more on this poem, but this was something I was making post to myself only on Facebook. This is how I used to write. So
I love it.
if
Yes,
if
I want to see more. Being your
yes,
poetry is so brilliant. Really.
yes.
All right, let's see.
So
I'm watching eagerly. I'm watching eagerly.
so this is just what I found. This is the picture I just chose for myself for my poetry, and this was
Oh,
my eyes has seen engraved in holy canon. This is just there, but
my
there is
eye.
more.
You read eyes, but you wrote
Yes,
I. Which is it? Plural or
yes, my
singular?
eye.
My eye
Yes, my
has
eye has.
seen, engraved in holy canon. Wow,
Yes.
wow.
Okay, so and it has
There's
more.
Beena on the hilltop. Beena on the hilltop with the
See,
wind, connecting
yes,
to her.
I don't know. It was in
Wow.
2020, 5 years ago.
Yes, but I love this, Beena. All right, so this is something we're going to work on finishing because now the
Yes,
appropriateness has come. Yes, I just
yes,
love this. My eye, capital E-I, has seen,
yes, and
engraved in
it's
holy canon. Very poetically written. Oh, it's fantastic, Beena. Absolutely
and it
fantastic.
was
I
in
want more. I want more.
2020.
I want more.
I'm going to
Yes,
say it
yes.
in my
Well,
notebooks,
now's a good time.
and
Yeah, yeah.
yes, and then we'll continue
I,
with
lo-
this.
I love
Okay,
it, Beena.
okay,
This is fantastic. All right,
okay.
brilliant, brilliant,
Thank you.
brilliant.
Thank
Let me
you so much, everyone,
just
and
check.
thank you so much, Sil. This was really interesting. This
Yes.
was
Yeah.
really interesting, and also that
Oh, fantastic. Right.
that in way of impeccability, you mentioned many times that communication is a haphazard business. This is the real
Correct.
example
Correct.
of it. That
Oh yeah.
Don Juan
Oh yeah.
is
Oh
making
yeah.
for him, for
Yeah.
Don Juan, it's clear, it's duh. But for
Correct. But
Carlos,
he's not thinking
it's
in Carlos's brain. Exactly.
exactly, and that's why the communication is a big, huge deal in way of impeccability, in Morness, in
Yeah.
Nobelia culture also,
Yeah.
that you have to pay
Yeah.
attention to. Sometimes it
Yeah.
feels like redundant when people go into details, like okay, yes, using different superlatives and using different way of emphasizing this and describing and explaining and
Right.
articulating. But it is necessary because we assume that the other
Correct.
person
Correct.
is just perceiving exactly what we are saying. Actually, it
Correct.
happens
Correct.
very
Correct.
rarely that people get it like
Yeah.
immediately. We
Yeah.
have to use
Yeah.
different language,
Right.
different vocabulary, and different way of
Yeah. Yeah.
emphasizing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes different stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
So communication is a
Oh, it's
haphazard.
very powerful. It's very powerful. In Rules of Sentience, the big project that I big thing that I created. It's a long story, but essentially what it is, that's what it is. There are rules for sentience. Now, rules is a loose term, more guidelines, but rules sounds better. Guidelines for sentience, I don't sound very exciting. But rules for sentience. Anyway, each rule is essentially a quote. Yeah, a quote of some kind. Like the individual and the individual alone is the final arbiter of truth. A very powerful quote.
Yes.
Very powerful understanding about sentience. You in the end decide. But, but here's the interesting thing. Now we're already familiar with this. Yeah? Beena and I, this has come up many times. But somebody who's new to it, like the thing I said about the hair around the ears, yeah? That statement on its own can be interpreted in many ways. But if you take the exact same sentence, the same quote, and you say it in different ways, and that's part of the rules of sentience. They are the alternative rules, right? So it's like a column, and then you got the alternative, and then you've got 5, 6, 10, a dozen different ways of saying the same thing, but in a different way. If you don't get it at first, what does that mean now? Then you read the alternatives and say, I still don't get it. I still don't get it. I still okay, now I got it. It's not when you get to variation number 6 that it's suddenly that one is the one that makes it clear. No, it is all of them put together. It gives your brain a way to look at it from all angles, and it constructs the thing itself, and then you get it, right? This is very, very powerful. Now, it is sometimes one thing clicks with you and another not, but we think it's just the way this one is said. It's actually all of them all together. And this is an incredible, powerful mechanism for cognition. It is incredibly, incredibly powerful. If I was in a regular teaching way at school, and there were new concepts that coming up, I would have the children give a repeat back of the concept, right? Whatever it is, in their own words. Not just for their own ability to put it in, I mean, there's the value of that, but also the other children listening to all of the different cognitions. If you don't quite get it, it's going to fall into place. It is a ridiculously powerful mechanism, and when we are aware of it, it changes everything. And that's why Carlos struggles with, Don Juan struggles to communicate with Carlos sometimes, because he says it kind of from one way. He does change it up some, but he's not changing the conceptuality. And when you do that, it changes. Like I said, if Carlos had said, well, you can think of it as a spirit, a nature spirit, okay, or a nature entity, or you can think of it as a mindless energy configuration. Wow, okay, that makes more sense. Yeah? Whatever. Conception and cognition go together, and very, very important association. All right, so Mosafari I think, joined us on IG. You came right at the end, Moz. I'll just call you Moz for short. Sounds like a nice abbreviation there. I hope that's okay. We're just ending, Moz. So come join us again another time. Very cool. Very nice that you joined. Very All right.
Oh, yes.
We'll on that note, we'll leave off. Yeah, I'm really hungry,
Yes,
and
thank you
we've
so much,
got
everyone.
poetry to write.
Yes.
So we got
Yes,
exciting
okay.
stuff.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And if you are watching us later,
Bye-bye.
recorded, please leave a comment, or just make your presence obvious, that because it matters a lot to us. It matters a lot. And please train your
Oh, yeah.
online algorithm, because ultimately it is connected to your life algorithm. Make deliberate choices. Write your future right now. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you guys
Write
tomorrow.
your future right now with
Yes.
your choices.
Yes.
What a quote from Beena. Write your future right now with your choices. Beena Sidd. Now, be Sidd. All right, brilliant. Bye bye, everybody.